Okay, we are starting. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this STAR webinar on how to use oven efficiently. Divya Raithatha will be conducting the webinar, and right at the start, she will explain when and how audience questions can be raised. Divya is Director of Vinodrai Engineering, which is a long-time molds and machinery manufacturing supplier member of STAR. She is also a proactive director on the current STAR board. Above all, Divya is a young achiever. She has organized several workshops for shop floor personnel of our industry. Her experience and knowledge on technical issues belies her young age. She is a BTech in production engineering with honors in industrial engineering from VIT Pune. Divya will have much to share with all of you in the course of the webinar. So it is now over to Divya.
Thank you, Saman, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. How to use GoToWebinar software for the first time overseas. Maybe some of you already. You can use the orange arrow here to hide and open the control panel. By default, you are in mute. You would unmute yourself or mute your mic again, you can use this icon. If you have any query, you can use this raise hand icon. This can be used to ask the presenter to allow you to ask a question, or you could write down your question here so that not to interrupt the presenter during the flow. This is what I would prefer you all to do. So I think we will start with the presentation now. So topic for today is to use your oven efficiently. I'd like to thank STAR for allowing me this opportunity to present a webinar, and I'd also like to thank all the attendees for taking out your precious time off for being here. Hello all. Now you know the face behind the voice that you'll be hearing for next 30 to 35 minutes. I'm Divya from Vinodrai Engineers Private Limited, and this is how you can contact me. The agenda for today will be, I would like everyone to go away with an idea of making a small change on their routine shop floor activities, which would increase the efficiency and the life of the ovens. So in today's presentation, I plan to discuss 10 good shop floor practices, which when converted into habit will result in an efficient and reliable oven. And also basics about why we need to follow these practices and how it will give us an advantage. With good basics, you will have endless options. So let us get started with it. The first thing is maintenance of the burner. We will be discussing both the diesel and the gas burners. So for maintenance of diesel burners, automizing nozzle regulates the amount of diesel that will be sprayed for combustion. This is thus its good functioning plays a crucial role in diesel consumption of your burner. We need to optimize the amount of air sucked in by the burner to have enough oxygen for complete combustion of fuel. For getting the exact fuel to air ratio, you need to refer your manual to know the setting of air combustion as to what size of nozzle that you are using. Choking of diesel line filter doesn't allow the pump to generate enough pressure for by nozzle. Thus, cleaning the diesel line filter regularly is a very important part. Clean the photocell. Photocell is an important safety feature which need to be kept dust free. Accumulation of dust on photocell can result into flame fail unnecessarily. Check pressure settings regularly because the pressure settings in the pump is going to regulate pressure of the fuel to the atomizing nozzle, and if the pressure is not proper, your atomization and spraying of diesel will not be proper, resulting into inefficient fuel consumption. Clean the dust filter of the cover. Clogged air filter results in suction of lesser amount of air of the same for the same air setting, thus affects the combustion rate of your fuel. Next is get a burners by an expert. Train your person to become an expert because maintenance of your burner is like having an apple a day to keep the doctor away. Now let's move on to gas burners. So best practices for checking the system leakage in the gas is using soap water spray and spraying it at the potentially leaking places and at the joints. And if there's bubble formation like that in the GIF, you know that there's a leakage, and if there's no bubble, then you are good to go. Pressure readings of the regulator need to be checked regularly because when you monitor them regularly, it can give you an early indication for system leakage, or it can give you an indication for there's time to change the cylinders. Spark igniter need to be placed at the right location, and you can refer your burner manual to know what is the right location for your spark igniter. Airflow similar to diesel burner need also need to be checked in your burner for complete combustion of the fuel. Visual inspection of flame is a good way of checking if your burner is in good condition or not. A good gas flame is a blue flame with hints of yellow at the tip. The shroud in the burner, which is the first part uh, provided in your furnace combustion box, it is a very important part because it helps stabilize the flame, and we should not be removing this part. Non-stabilized flame means unburned fuel gases. Now we would go to maintenance of the blower, which is second most important part. So it would include, this is a one of the blower assemblies. So for smooth functioning and vibration free blower assembly, you should be lubricating the sleeves so that the shaft runs smoothly and there's no blockage. Second, the blower motor must be kept dirt free and also secured properly so that the vibrations are not uh, generated. Also, the tightness of the belt need to be proper for the motion of the motor to be smoothly and efficiently transferred to the motion of the shaft. One of the most important things is location factor of the oven. Your burner constantly sucks in fresh air for fuel consumption. Restricted airflow around blower motor of burner might lead to incomplete combustion, thus waste of fuel. We also need to make sure that the burnt gas has a place to go out of the shop floor so that the oxygen ratio of the air on the shop floor doesn't lower down, which would again lead into low oxygen air being sucked by the burner, which would not lead to increased combustion and thus fuel efficiency. And for safety reasons, gas supply bank and diesel tank must always be located outside the premises from where the oven is placed. So hence, a good oven location, which we might not usually think is a big factor, but yes, it does affect the efficiency of your oven. Next factor and very important factor is airflow, because all of the rotational molding furnaces are hot air circulating furnaces, so a good air circulation will result into a good burner. So how you can use your flow rate intelligently? All manufacturers have their own design considerations of CFM and RPM depending on furnace design. So make sure you consult your manufacturer and know what is the right RPM on which your blower should be running on the design, and make sure that your blower are consistently at the right RPM and there's no clog in the impellers or something like that. So this would give you into a good efficiency of your burner. If your air is moving too fast, if your RPM is more than the rated RPM, it would also not aid in heat transfer from the air to the mold. Usually the air must strike the molds around 10 meter per second to transfer the heat efficiently. Next part would be using the correct size of burner. Usually your machine manufacturers will give you with the designed and correct wattage and size of your burner. But in case you want to change your burner, maybe you want to change it from diesel to gas or gas to diesel, or maybe in today's Indian market scenario, people are changing from diesel or gas burner to biofuel burners. When you select a different burner for your existing machine, you need to keep in mind that the wattage that you select is correct. If you are not using a certified from the manufacturer of your machine, do consult your manufacturer, and before selecting your burner, you need to know the volume of the oven, the temperature of the oven for which the oven is designed, because if you overheat your oven, either to make a lower cycle time or for any other reason, and if your oven is not designed to tolerate the over temperatures, it might affect the life of your oven. So it is always a good idea to take a technical support from the manufacturer when doing such changes in your oven. Check your thermocouples. This is a very simple but a very important part, because one thing is your temperature controller must be placed in a location which gives representative temperature of the complete oven. If it is too close to the burner or if it's placed too away from the burner, it might not give you the appropriate results for the regulating of the temperature of your oven. Impaired wire may cause friction in the reading which is undesirable, so check for impaired wires in your thermocouple. Also, one very important thing, mostly when you change your thermocouple or you're using a new temperature controller, make sure that the settings of your temperature controller are complying with your thermocouple, because finally the temperature controller which you are using and a proper setting will help you gain good efficiency. Like the hysteresis temperature must be optimized to get a good temperature, to get a good fuel efficiency. Also, one of the main things is deposit on the thermocouple probe lead to false reading or may lead to readings with lag. So cleaning the thermocouple probe and the end regularly will give you a good result. Let us move on to the next point, which is proper oven selection. Usually this is done in the beginning, but even if you have 3 or 4 machines, and when you are deciding where you need to put this mold, your mold need to be put in appropriate oven size. A too small mold in a very big oven might not result into fuel efficiency. Also, eliminate dead space in the oven, making it circular so that there is no extra corners or dead corners where unnecessary or not used air is being heated for no reason. That would increase your fuel consumption. I think one of the attendees has also raised the question that what shape of oven is should be preferred for good efficiency. So I think cylindrical oven is good. If you can move on to spherical oven, it would give you even more efficiency. So I hope your question is answered. Then inspection of gaskets periodically is a good thing, so that there are fewer leakages and hence fewer heat losses from your oven. Mounting effectively. So, like you can see in this image, this mold, when it would be rotating in minor, would come directly in front of the blower. Similarly, when this mold would come down after the major rotation, it would also get a good amount of time in front of the blower. So if you mount your molds strategically that they would get good amount of time in front of the blower, then you are heating your mold directly. If you place it offset, you need to heat more of the air and rest of your furnace before the mold would actually receive the heat. So if mold is placed at a location which is receiving the hit of the air coming from the blower directly, it would result you into a smaller cycle time and hence lesser fuel consumption. Cool slowly is one of the very important things to cool slowly, and it is very important that we do not shut down the blowers when the oven is already at high temperature. Usually during the last leg of the cycle or the last day of the shift, people, as soon as they finish the heating cycle, they just want to shut off the blower and the burner, both of them, which is not a good thing. The blowers must always be shut down after at least getting down of 70 to 60 degrees Celsius, because if you shut down blowers at high temperature, it might bend the blower shaft and also affect your impellers. Also, very high cooling rate can lead to fatigue on the inside surface of the furnace, which the furnace might not be designed for and would reduce the life of your oven. So, cooling slowly is always a good idea. One of the very important points is clean regularly. Uh, Cleaning the spilled powder inside the oven is very, very, very important, because all of us we know that LLDP powder is byproduct of petroleum and is also petroleum in itself. It is flammable, and too much deposition of powder inside your burner can cause you safety issues in case of fire. Also, one more thing is the spilled powder inside your oven is taking in the heat every time in your every cycle, and it causes a lot of fuel in every cycle, hence increasing your fuel consumption. Clean the mold outside the oven is also a process. Like you can see in this image, it is a very tacky mold which is not cleaned for much time. Such dust deposition on the mold and powder deposition on the mold acts like an insulation layer and decreases the rate at which the mold is heated, so which is not recommended for us. So cleaning the mold regularly would result into mold being heated faster and less amount of energy being required to heat the mold, thus saving us a little bit of fuel. We need to keep the area of the oven clean and away from the flammable objects like LLDP powder itself and other plastic objects. This is a very good example of a bad example of keeping your shop floor places, because the oven, in spite of being using the powder this close to oven, is safety wise a very big concern. So cleaning regularly gives you very good results. Last but not the least, you need to use the right powder. So using a powder with lower melt flow index would result into powder melting faster, and using lesser amount of fuel to um, form the first layer, second layer, and the third layer for you, thus reducing even your cycle time and also reducing the amount of fuel that you are consuming. Recycled powder, everyone, all of us knows, gives more heat. It increases your fuel consumption, it increases your cycle time. So it is really not recommended to use recycled powder in any form. So to save your fuel, To summarize what all we have gone through is we need to maintain our burner is the first step. Second thing is maintaining the blower. Smooth operation of the blower will lead to good air circulation, and good air circulation will lead to uniform heating and efficient heating both. So giving you a better quality and a good quality in the long time. I think a good oven location is very important, how we have understood. Clean fuel, for good burning of fuel, the oven needs clean air supply. And if you locate your oven properly, you can ensure a good air supply, and which would lead to proper combustion of your fuel. Airflow, as the airflow finally would decide the uniformity and the heat transfer in this kind of furnaces. So using your airflow intelligently is very important. The burner capacity need to be correct. You need to consult your manufacturer to know the right burner capacity of your for your oven. I think thermocouples play its very important role, and cleaning them regularly and maintaining them regularly is very important. Oven specifications, that means oven sizes, not using small molds in large size of oven. Also, using multiple molds at a time in the same oven would also result into a more efficient production and lesser fuel consumption per product. So, managing your size of the oven and size of the molds that you are using in the oven would lead to a very good way and in a very good way of fuel utilization. Cooling down slowly is again one of the very important things which we have seen. Cleaning regularly is always useful, not only for the molds and not only for your efficiency, but also from your safety point of view. For all of us, we all are related to petroleum products so much that we are very much used to the danger of catching fires, which we really need to avoid. So cleaning regularly is a very important step, and using a good powder. In today's market scenario, especially in the Indian market, the market is very competitive. The rates of powder and the rates of fuel are ever increasing. None of these is in our hand. What is and it is all in the market, and it is same for all of us and our competitors. What is in our hand is having a good technology, having a good machine, and after having a good machine, what is in our hand is maintaining it properly and getting the highest efficiency out of it, and using it properly so that you need the least amount of powder or least amount of fuel out of it. So totally, when you will, you cannot control the prices of powder and fuel, but what you can control and what is in your hand is using them in an optimum way and optimizing your shop floor practices around it so that you can use it in the best way. So I would like to leave you with one thing is always maintain a record. Maintaining once or maintaining twice or maintaining regularly is not enough, but keeping a record of what you have maintained. So, like example, in gas burner, we needed we needed to check the pressure of the first stage regulator, the pressure of the second stage regulator. So you need to keep a record of all of this, that okay, I had checked 1 month before, the pressure was this. Okay, the second week the pressure is this, the second third week the pressure is this. If you consistently have a record and you have a data, then you have something to compare to. If you keep comparing and you realize, oh, it used to be constant but now it is going down. So if you have previous data, then the new data can give you indication if there is a leakage, or then the new data can tell you if there is a reason why this might be happening. But if you do not have the data, then you are just another person with an opinion. So even after maintaining everything, if you are not keeping a record of it, you are still assuming something and just doing a trial and error. Whereas with a record, you can have a sure shot way of knowing what is right or what is wrong on your shop floor activities. So I think that's all that I have to say. I would open this discussion for any questions from any of your side. I think Mr. Rafi has a question.
Good evening, Divya.
Hello.
Good evening,
Yeah,
Divya.
good evening, Rafi.
It was an eye-opener, a wonderful
Good evening,
presentation.
Rafi.
Yeah, I really appreciate. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes, you
audible?
are, sir.
Yeah. So it was a very good presentation. A big kudos for that, and it was indeed was an eye-opener. As you said, now, what is your suggestion of using a diesel fuel and versus with a LPG fuel or any other fuel that could bring down our cost of operation in the fuel side? Have you done any calculations or working on this particular part of it?
So I think that gas burner and I think CNG is one of the cheapest and the cleanest forms of fuel, which is very efficient. But what actually keeping in mind the market area and everything you need to consider is the amount of fuel that you are using, and also economics do come into picture. So if you are needing only, let us say you need 5 liter of diesel, or you need 3.8 kg of gas. So yes, gas is always, in this case, gas is more efficient than diesel. But if in your local area the diesel is not available diesel is easily available and gas availability is not good, you might even have to prefer taking diesel over gas. But then it's a question of um, efficiency versus the cost. So gas is always a more efficient fuel, but then I think in Indian market the wooden pallets are available actually at a very low cost. So for you, cost wise, wooden pallets might also be more efficient.
Yeah, allow me to ask one more question.
Yes, please.
Can this be? Is there any thumb rule of calculation of so many liters or so many kilos of gas for every kilo of polyethylene? Is there any thumb rule in which we can benchmark? Anything above that is good, or anything below this is poor?
Okay. You cannot actually thumb rule according to the weight of powder with the amount of fuel that you will be consuming, because there are many much more factors than just the weight of the powder, like the volume of your furnace is going to affect, the kind of burner that you have selected is going to affect your fuel consumption. Also, uh, how heavy your mounting is going to affect your consumption, because if unnecessary the mounting is heavy, the mounting is also going to eat up the energy which you are using to raise the temperature. So there are many different factors. So there isn't any thumb rule. Also, it would depend on actually how much weight you are putting together. So suppose in the same oven, the first cycle you are making only 2 tanks of 1,000 liter. So let us say 50 kg of material. But in the same, then you make 752 tanks. So your material is less, but your fuel consumption is the same. So it also depends on how you are utilizing your oven.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
I don't think we can make
Yeah,
any thumb
yeah,
rule.
Rafi. I
Thank you.
just
No, I think there are a few more questions. Right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can I? I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Hello, Rafi.
Yeah, tell me, Omakant.
Yeah. Just when comparing with the diesel, actually gas is always better for cleanliness and all that. But only keep in mind when using the gas, you have to be use the big bank of cylinders, or you have some pressure tank or something to utilize the total gas. Many times what happen, you are not utilizing the total gas in the cylinder because of the once is going down, it will not able to keep the pressure. So then you will use then you will lose on the balance gas in the cylinder. So that's why you have to be careful for using a big bank of tanks like 10 tanks or something like that, or you use some storage thing to give the get the maximum utilization of the gas you got.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Jagdish has posted a very good question. I'm unable to mute him, but I would read out his question to everyone. His question is, which side, that is top or bottom, of oven blower fan mounting is suitable for the oven? So, Jagdish, the answer would be the blower fan of the oven must always be placed in the bottom. The air must be thrown from the bottom side and it must be sucked from the top, because when you throw in the hot air from down, it has a tendency of going up and it will be very easy and naturally the air circulation will flow away. So, mounting a blower fan on the bottom of the oven is better than mounting it on the top of your oven. Otherwise, you will need to use a very high capacity blower to act the complete air. I think Sanjay sir, I'm mute you, but I'm unable to do that. Jendra, if you're online, I'm unable to unmute a few attendees who do have a question raised. So can you help me out in unmute?
Hello.
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 Hi, Divya. You want to unmute Mr. Sanjay, I think.
Yeah, I think Prashant is already unmute, so attend his question first. Yes, Mr. Can I help you? Okay, I think to unmute Mr. Prashant, sir.
Yeah.
Divya,
Prashant sir, yes.
good evening. Prashant Trivedi here.
Yes.
The talk was very good, but one question which comes into my mind is that basically, uh, No, the thing is that basically when we are going for multiple products on
Yes.
the same arm, then how efficiently we can monitor the airflow into the oven or basically controlling the heat? How we should go ahead with that?
Yes. So when you're mounting multiple molds on the same arm, one suggestion, the first suggestion that comes to my mind would be that balancing of the molds first need to be done within the selection of mold itself.
Hmm,
By that I mean that you need not put some extra blocks only for balancing sake uh, on your spider, because the extra blocks that you will put are going to suck in the energy. When you
hmm,
are mounting multiple molds at the same time, you might
hmm,
have a few molds which need higher amount of energy as compared to a few molds with the other one, because there's
yes.
no perfect way of, or there's no perfect, usually not a perfect combination. So I would
Hmm,
suggest that the molds which need a little less amount of energy should be set
hmm,
a little offset, so that
hmm,
they do not come directly in front of the blower, or they have lesser amount of time in front of the blower,
hmm.
and your molds that need more energy should be placed in such a way that they get the maximum time exactly in front of the blower. So
And
that would
yeah,
be
that
one
would,
of the helpful ways
yeah.
in which
Thank
multiple
you, Deep.
mounting of the
And
products at
second
the same
question,
time.
what is coming in my mind for the double wall?
Also,
Yeah, please.
yes. Yeah,
For the
sorry. So
double
one thing
wall,
I wanted to add in the previous question.
you can continue.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
you can
so
continue.
one thing I wanted to add in your previous question. Yes, one thing I wanted to add in the previous answer is there are a few features in the different kinds of machine that you can stop your machine in between, you can stop your uh, arm at a specific angle so that your specific components come in front of the blower for a larger amount of time. So if you have specifically multiple mounted products in which one has a specific extremely higher uh, heat requirement than the others, you can use mechanisms like stop and roll in such cases to aid your
Yeah,
requirement.
thank you. And second
I
question is
think now
that
you can ask me the double walled question.
yeah,
Yes.
for the double wall products, basically where there is a depth is there. We had been also advised by many machine manufacturers that you require to have a spatial oven mechanism where basically you have to create a draft of air which reaches to the inside part of the product. How truthness is there in this statement?
Yes, it is a very true statement, because the usual maximum and the usual furnaces which are there in rotomolding are usually designed for products like water tank, which do not really need a in depth. They do not need to go the air source. So the air circulation is designed for single wall product. But when you design a furnace in which you want to make double wall product, you need to make sure that at some point in your oven, the air circulation is controlled in such a way that there's a gush of air which is created and which would enter the um, your double wall product. So I think I would try to make a small drawing in one of the part of the presentation itself. So maybe it would become more understandable what I'm saying is,
Hmm,
for example, normally in the normal ovens, the blower is facing like this.
hmm,
So your air supply is usually only like in this direction.
hmm,
So when you place a mold which has a double wall thickness, the maximum air is touching only on the outside part of the mold, and thus your inside is very small thickness. But the same if you want to do it for a double wall mold, one of the changes which we do it in our machine, so I know that there might be different ways as well. But what we do is the airflow is also done from the bottom half. So the air which is coming from here, the air rushes in from here as well. And actually both these airs fuse and basically from here and here they come and fuse like this. And a gush of air is created in this direction. Basically here, but then the mold would be here. So you need to direct the airflow in such a way that the inside part of the mold also must receive the air. So if you want to make double walled product, yes, you need a different kind of air circulation than the usual one. It would give a better result. And then you can eliminate preheating in such cases.
Yeah, because
I hope I
maximum heat
answered your
transfer is
question well,
because
sir.
of the vibration of
Thank you.
the air, hot air. Yeah, so you have to be, that air has to be
Yes.
vibrate with all thickness of the mold. Then it will go. Then it will transfer efficiently. So for inner side or when the depth is more, so air has to be reached inside that particular depth portion. So they're the same thing. So you can use that wood blower design, or you can use some external things to reach there.
Good, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. This was for the benefit of my team as well.
Yes, I think one more way in which this can be achieved is uh, along with the along with the arms, there is a air supply, extra air supply pipe given, which you can connect with pipes in your mold if you put, and pneumatically you can force in extra air for giving the same effect in selected areas of your mold.
Yeah, that is also a good suggestion. Good input.
I think.
Good input.
Does anyone else have any questions which need to be answered? Okay, I think Pradeep sir has a question. So I think I cannot seem to find him, but I will read out his question. What should be the nozzle sizes for diesel-fired oven? What should be the nozzle sizes for diesel-fired oven? So basically, sir, uh, there are different kinds of diesel burners. So every burner comes with a manual, and the manual does supply that for what amount of wattage do you want to achieve, what kind of nozzle you should be using. So I think referring the manual will give you the exact correct answer. Then uh, I because I do not know what burner you're using, I would not be able to answer that question directly. But if you refer the manual does give the size of oven for your requirement. I think Senthi Kumar sir, I have unmuted you if you have any question.
I have a question. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Actually, is it better to feed the powder inside the oven or outside the oven? Feeding up the powder.
So for the first cycle of the day, it is better to give a
Okay.
preheating and then feed in your powder.
Okay.
But from the second cycle onwards, your mold has already reached a certain temperature once. So even if you
Okay.
put the first layer from before putting in the oven itself, it would not be a big issue for you. But the first cycle, it is always recommended to put to preheat your oven and the molds first, so that the mold, once it has achieved the heating evenly, it would give a better result and more uniformity.
Okay. So one more question, madam. Actually, the mold supposed to have a direct
Yes,
heating
sir.
or indirect heating. Which one is the better for the mold?
Uh,
The flame has to directly hit
so
on the
for
mold, or
mold,
it has to come indirectly.
no. The flame when directly, if you are directly heating the mold with a flame, then it is not a good way, because in that case you are unable to regulate the actual temperature of the mold. It might, it is a judgmental thing. It might cause your powder to overheat or maybe underheat sometimes. So when
Uh-huh.
you do it with indirectly air, because you are controlling the temperature of air, and air temperature and speed is under your control. Thus, the mold temperature
Okay.
and the powder temperature is under your control. So it would give you a better result. But if you are directly
Okay.
heating the tool using thermostats, or you are using electrical mechanisms like the smart from Italy, the iSmart machines from Italy, then yes, that would be the more efficient way of doing it. But then only direct heating
Okay.
is only efficient if it is in a controlled way.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Thank you.
I hope I have answered your questions. Yeah, thank you, sir. I think I think Sanjay sir and Nikun sir, I am unable to unmute you because you have muted yourself.
Hello.
Yes, Mr.
Hello.
Nikun. Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for your
Yes, sir. I
presentation.
can hear you. Can I have your question?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. I
Thank you,
just
sir.
need your suggestion how we can reduce our cycle time for rotomolded products with multiple products in our.
Uh, you are using multiple products in the same arm and you want to reduce your cycle time.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So, one thing which we have covered is, I think one of the basic things is refer to your powder supplier. Having
Yes.
powder with a low metal flow index and a good viscosity would give you a faster cycle. The second thing, when you follow all these steps which we have discussed today, that your burner is functioning properly, your air circulation is proper, so with all these things,
Yes.
I think that would be the minimum time which you will get, because uh,
Yes.
I would not suggest you to increase your temperature just to reduce the time, because it has its own different effects and which are really not desirable. So I
Yes.
think if you follow a proper procedure, you will get a minimum cycle time, but further going down on the cycle time would affect you with the quality factors.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. And I have one more
I
question.
think if Umakant sir, do you have any suggestions on this?
Suppose we have to use a low MFI material. So if melting flow index is affecting our product quality, or it is not affect to our product's quality, if we are using less MFI LLDP powder, then it will be affect to our product quality, or it will not affect.
I think Umakant
Yeah,
sir will be the right person
yeah,
to answer this question.
Divya, I just missed his question totally. He's asking about the different MFI, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can you
so
just
he's asking if a powder with lower melt flow index, will it affect the uh, quality of the product?
Yeah, definitely. high MFI and low MFI is different for different properties for mechanical properties. If you want stronger product, the less MFI is better, and if you want some aesthetic products and with the strength you can compromise, then you can go for high MFI. So you have to choose in between high and low depending on your final product requirements. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, I think he has muted himself, so
Okay.
we seem to have answered his question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. You can move it.
I think yes. Tarkish sir, I think we can attend your question.
Yes. Hi. Good evening, Divya and Umakanji.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Uh, I have one question. In high MFI and low
Yes, sir.
MFI, what is the part thickness difference? Hello. Hello.
Umakant sir. Hello.
Just
Yes, sir. I heard your question, but I
repeat
think
just Divya.
Umakant sir is
There is
answering your
sir
question.
communication. Communication is a problem. Yeah, can you repeat Divya? What is the question exact?
Sir, I have a
His
question.
question is, when using high melt flow index powder and low melt flow index powder,
Yeah,
what is the uniformity thickness difference that we get?
uniformity in thickness. So
Yes.
that will depend on your mold ratio. Your uniformity in thickness, the MFI will not affect the uniformity of the you can say product. It can affect the centering and the finish of the product, but not the you can say it is not going to affect the uniformity of the wall.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I think Sanjay sir has a question since long time. Sanjay, if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question, you can. Yes, Mohammed sir, you seem to have a question, sir. Yes, Mohammed sir, if you want to ask the question. I think Akshay has also raised a question. Akshay's question is, what is performance difference between furnace cross section being square or round? So I think I would explain to you this with a simple figure. In a square, in your square oven, your arm is only moving in this area. So all this cross-sectional area where the arm doesn't reach and the mold is an area which is heated but not utilized. So the difference between the volume of this part, the green shaded part, is unutilized area in a square cross-sectional oven. So that is how it is going to affect your furnace utilization. Yes, I think Mohammed sir, you can ask your question. I think, sir, if you have any question.
I think you can take one or two more questions, maybe two, four, 3, 4 more
Yes.
minutes.
I think yes. Yes. I think Rajiv sir has a question. Rajiv Sharma sir. I can
Yeah,
answer
hi
your
Divya,
question.
how are you?
I am.
Well, my question is that nowadays wood pellets are becoming very popular in the market. So my concern is that
Yes.
is it efficiently working in the oven, and how much there is a cost saving, and the most important is that how much it is safe to use this kind of a technology.
Hmm. So I think a few points I'll use to say about the wood fire pallets. Uh, I'm really not sure of the exact value of what is the calorific value of these wooden pallets, but
Mhm,
as far as I know, engineering point of view, if you think it is not as efficient as gas,
mhm,
but in the terms of economics, it is really much more economical than using gas, because even
mhm,
if you have to burn more amount of wooden pallets, it is going to still cost you less than how much the gas will cost you. So
mhm,
yes, with a feedback from most of our customers, we have a feedback that there's around at least 30% of saving in the cost while using wooden fire pallets.
mhm,
The second thing, how safe it is to use in the in place of the gas and diesel burn. So yes, safety standards of gas and diesel burners are way, way, way higher than the wooden burners, wooden pellet burners, which I have seen in India. But then there
mhm,
is always scope of doing something to make it more safe. So it is not very not safe to use. But then one thing which actually affects the utilization of this kind of burner is that in India the popularity is uh, the furnace is designed for a gas burner or a diesel burner, and that is removed and you are using a wooden pellet burner. But I think if it is priorly mentioned and then there is some research in rotomolding, which I think we should be doing and we are also doing. So a few changes actually made in the design of the furnace can actually help increase the efficiency of wooden fiber pallets even much more than what you are achieving it today, sir.
okay. So what exactly, like, if you have to recommend to a manufacturer who's buying a machine, so what do you recommend? Like, is it
Yeah.
good to have a wood pellets or gas or diesel? Like number one, number two, number three.
See,
Raju, can
yeah,
I
in
answer?
my opinion, number one is gas, number two is diesel, and the third one is wooden pallets.
Okay.
But then I would always say my opinion is will have an engineering bias, which would not always match with economics. So finally, when you are taking a decision, you have to take an economical decision and you have to consider the market prices in your area.
Right. Yes,
Rajuji, in my
Devkar sir,
perspective,
please.
yeah, Rajuji, in my
Yes.
perspective, when you want to take the decision in the comparison, right
Mm-hmm.
now, situation of the that pallet burner is that
Mm-hmm.
there is a room to development of this all these types of burner, right? The people are
Right.
just using developing some other applications like boiler or furnaces, and they are using same thing here. The rightly
Right.
said Divya that the oven and everything should be designed as per the burner and everything in combined with all the things. Okay, and one
Right.
what I observed till date that the for heating rate it is on the slower side because of the calorific values and all that. And second
Right.
thing, I have seen there is a lot of sparks coming out of the burner and all that. That is very
Uh,
risky because we
right.
are working with all polymers and
Mm-hmm.
all the your workers are moving around. And if suddenly the burner is giving sparks around, so it's dangerous. So technology is not a problem, but
Mm-hmm.
technology has to be developed and it has to be safely done. Then it will, then we can compare with all these things. Right now this is in the initial stages, and I think people can take up to the next level. Yeah.
Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think Divya now is
I think
time
I will
to
take,
give final
yes,
question.
I think I will take this opportunity to thank all of you for making this section a very interactive one, and thank you for your overwhelming response. If I have any unanswered questions left, you do have my email ID. You can mail me at divyaraithatha@vinodrai.com, or maybe you can contact Jitendra and he'll get hold of me to answer your questions. But I think it's time that we need to close the webinar today. So thank you again, everyone, for being here today. Thank
And
you.
give feedbacks and suggestions for the new the topics to be covered in this series of webinars. Yeah, thanks all, bye.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we'll, this is Jitendra Rana from Star, and we'll soon be sharing with all the attendees and other members of Star the recording of this webinar. Thank you very much, everyone.